Yes.
Welcome to Conversations with Your Higher Self. Today I am here with Joy Anderson, and
Mhm.
Joy is a spiritual advisor and author. And I am so excited to have you on here. I saw you a couple months ago on Sology, and oh my gosh, your soul made an instant connection with mine. And so I just am looking forward to chatting with you more. Thank you for being here, Joy.
Thank you, Allison. I am so calm, which tells me that we're in the right place at the right time, and I am delighted to be here sharing this energy with you.
I love
Mhm.
this so much. So tell everybody, how did your awakening journey begin? Was it a long time ago or was it something that happened
Um,
recent?
um, well, before I say that, I have to apologize. I'm having some dental work. So if you're looking at this and it looks a bit weird, it is. And if I'm lisping or spitting, I have this temporary template in, and um, there we
Well,
go. It's
well,
out
I'm
in the
having
open.
lighting issues, so my lights
Yes,
are going on and off, and we'll
good.
just muddle through.
Oh, I love it. Um, a lot of people talk about an awakening that was very monumental, and mine was a very gentle journey um, until I reached that magical transformational fork in the road at 35. And so as a young child, I understood karma. And there were certain people that really helped this I call it the expansion contraction experience for baby boomers, especially. And when I was in grade 7, so I just turned 13. I had this magical social studies teacher called Mr. Holowski. He was a beautiful European man who wore a toupee, and he would walk up and down in front of the classroom and talk about astral traveling and handwriting analysis and spiritual telepathy. And I was just like in awe. One week, he had all the students who were interested go into their home closet every night at 8 o'clock to try and receive his thought, colors, and shapes. And I was devastated that I never did. But he had a slew of metaphysical books, and I began to read Lobsang Rampa and the Third Eye when I had just turned 13, which
Wow.
led me to another and another and another. And I didn't feel quite so alone. I knew that there were others out there that were out of the box and interested in the energy world, where at home, we were limited to what we spoke about. And I was lucky in some ways that my mother, she liked psychic readers and tea leaf readers. So she would take the three girls and we would go to a tea leaf reader. And of course, I forget everything, but my middle sister remembers it all. So we share these old stories. And then, um, you know, we moved through these roller coaster years when the world was much darker than it is now, believe it or not. And my experience was that there were teachers who tried to pull me out of that bottom roller coaster experience. So I had a teacher um, when I was 19, and then another one at 21. But I was still enmasked with fear. And so what I did with that fear is I traveled. I traveled through 3 years, and it opened me in ways that I could never explain. It was absolutely wonderful. Came back each time more expanded and different. And I would give myself permission to be different. and slowly invited other people that were different to give me permission to be more different, because I lived in this closet of spirituality for a long, long time. And then when I turned 35, I started to get very itchy, restless again. I was guided to move away from a marriage that wasn't working. And I had the strength and courage to do that. And at the same time, was at that crossroads. I made a spiritual commitment and I have never looked back. But like many of us who are baby boomers, we would often go from the frying pan into the fire, and that's exactly what I did. But as I went into the fire, I recognized I needed help. This time I recognized the need for help. So I had a friend, Australian friend, who was very expensive. And we had become very, very good friends while living in Toronto. And she told me about a woman who had suddenly woke up with a Star of David tattooed on her cheek. And she went through a process of trying to figure out what that was. And eventually she became an incredible channeler. And she became a trance channeler like Edgar Cayce. And so I called her because I was desperate. And I worked with her for 2 years, unbeknownst to my second husband. Once again, I was very closeted. And so every 3 to 6 weeks, I would call. She channeled my Lord Archangel Michael, and she was able to remove herself from the channel so that I was not afraid to ask those shameful questions that had plagued me throughout my life. And it was a healing process, a 2-year healing process that led me back to school. I decided to do the healing arts because I had a blended family at home, a blended family of 5 kids. It was insane. I never choose the easy road, never.
Oh, it's
And
most light workers, right?
yeah, yes, exactly. Makes it a lot more exciting, that's for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm a believer that if your life is happy and you're going along complacently, you don't change. So obviously I chose these hardships or these roadblocks so that I would change. And I did. I spent 10 years going to school while I raised those kids. I loved every single moment of it. And what it gave me is who I am today. Even though I don't use the physicality of it, I use the energy of it. And when all of this was coming to a close, I was moving towards the age of 49, 50. And my second husband bought me a ticket with this beautiful spiritual group that was led by a California woman. And we went to Peru for 2 weeks. And it was mind-blowing once more. Came back with the determination to move from Calgary back to Vancouver, where I was able to do what my Lord Archangel Michael advised me to do. And that was to learn how to balance my male and female energy through opening a diner. Like it was the most bizarre thing that I'd ever heard of. So, but I'm a very devotee when it comes to spiritualism. I follow the road. It's like I have tunnel vision. I am obsessed. And so my co-workers from previous years were of the health arena. And I got a call one day and she said, I found the perfect spot for your organic cafe, because that was already percolating in my mind. And my husband was able to get a 15-year lease. It was beyond cheap. And I went in and formulated and formatted everything for 3 years. I worked that diligently and discovered that was so easy. It was like, oh my God, I can do this, among many other things. So I wrote a cookbook for the cafe. I did a lot of healing work in the cafe. People would come in early in the morning and draw and do artwork, and some cried. It was very magical. And then after the 2 years, I started to get very bored. Once again, there's the soul, wanting to get out of its closet, its little box. And so there was a street in Steveston. This is a little fishing village that's absolutely adorable. And this street had a lot of magical spiritual teachers. And one of them was also a channeler. And she did a lot of work with the Archangelic Leagues of Light. And so I asked her, I said, can you help me? Can you support me in the expansion of my meditation process? Because I had been meditating for years, but I knew I needed something extra. And so we started to work together once a week. And during that time, I would sneak away from the cafe, go home in the middle of the afternoon when there was nobody there, and sit in meditation. And one day, this is where the magic begins, absolute magic. And you have to remember, I'm not 35 anymore, I'm 50. And all of a sudden I felt this presence come through the wall, absolutely through the wall. It felt thick, heavy, and I could feel it moving around me. And my mind, my personality, egoic mind was going, let go of the fear, let go of the fear. And I did. I let go of the fear, and I just felt it. The next day I came back. Of course, now I'm really enticed. The spiritual world enticed me to return. So every single day that there was no one at home, I returned to that spot, and all of these energies would come through the wall. They actually came through the wall and surrounded me. And then one day, very shortly after, probably 3 or 4 days later, I gave it permission to enter into my body. And I could feel it coming into my body, and my heart is beating, my breath is quickened, and I'm letting go of the fear. And I can feel this presence begin to move me, just like muscle testing inside of your body. And over the days, my body started jerking, gyrating, dancing while I was sitting. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And I didn't tell a soul because I thought, oh my God, I'm going mad. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. Eventually, and again shortly after, I allowed them to use my voice. I gave them permission to use my voice. And so they started to speak to me. And it came through stronger, clearer, over a very few weeks. It was very, very short. They expressed that they had to drop their energy field, and I had to lift my energy field so that we could communicate in this particular layer. I call it my home dimension. And then they started to speak words through me, information, wisdom. Once I asked for their sound names, because there were 12 of them. They are the Council of 12, the Higher Council of 12. And they remained my masters for 10 years. I was told specifically not to go to anybody else, not to research, not to read. I was consumed with their wisdom 6 to 8 hours every single day.
Wow.
It was a wow factor. They said I needed to do yoga every day to keep the body supple. And I can be a bit on the lazy side. I know myself really well. So I decided to take the yoga teacher training course, which I had tried previously in other years, and it never clicked. Anyway, I found this beautiful Israeli woman in Vancouver, and it happened right away. I got in, did my first 200 hours, and I knew again I needed to open a studio right away. Everything has to be really fast with me, or I can be the greatest procrastinator. And right behind the Organic Cafe, which was on the ground floor of a 2-story building with a beautiful garden in the back and an oversized garage. So I contacted my landlord and I said, can I clean up the backyard, which was just full of garbage? And can I renovate the garage? And he said, of course, yeah. So I spent my own money, renovated the studio as a yoga studio, cleaned up the backyard, and found this amazing vortex right in the middle.
Wow.
Unbelievable. The whole thing was magical. And then a year later, there was a suite upstairs, 1-bedroom suite, and I rented that as my first healing center. So I had the cafe, the yoga studio, the healing center. I was in channel 6 to 8 hours every day. I didn't charge anybody except for yoga. And they came in and gathered, and I shared this wisdom and I practiced, because what they taught me was the reality of the degrees of darkness, reptilian energy, serpentinian energy, entities and people. I could see them. I could see these entities that showed themselves like caterpillars and dragons wrapped around the bodies of human beings. And they taught me how to remove them. They literally taught me how to keep my energy field clean. And I had to do that with a ritualistic prayer every 4 hours. And I did that every 4 hours for 10 years and longer. But I was devoted and disciplined. And the more I became involved in this, the more I became it. I had one gentleman come into the cafe, and he had channeled orgone generators, those little pyramids that contain magical healing properties. And he asked me to go to his townhouse and help determine the value of each one. So when I got there, I could pick it up and I could go, yes, this will heal the liver. Yes, this will release the depression, etc. And then I picked up one that held a demonic energy. It was beyond frightening. But once again, it's all there to teach me a lesson. And I said to the 2 people that were present, take that outside, get a hammer and smash it. I went outside, rolled up in fetal position, and let the sun, luckily the sun was shining that morning, and just waited for the sun to do the healing work. And went back in after and went through 100 orgone generators to help this man, and never found another one. But I said, you need to be very careful what you channel. This is nothing to be played with. So once again, my Council of 12 were teaching me, we live in a world, it's a spectrum of light. And no matter how low you get in that spectrum, if it holds the essence of God, force, light, it is the light. But some of it is of such a low frequency, and it becomes very dense. And when it becomes so dense, it has this very dark power. Even though it is God force, light force, it still has the ability to control and manipulate.
What's that generated from?
Well, free will. It's beautiful. When I use the word God, I'm referring to the supreme energy force or the infinite all. Everyone has a different word for it because they don't particularly resonate to the word God. So we can use source, creator. I even say, if you really mean it, you can use the word dog. It doesn't matter, as long as you understand it is this infinite force. And within that infinite force, we have creation after creation after creation. And so the earth was created with a mission, and the earth has a soul, and her soul essence is that of the teacher. And so being the teacher, she's allowed everything to come in and out and in and out and in and out. And so with that in and out, those dark lords were allowed to come in and plant seeds. And that's an entirely different story, a whole different story. We won't go there today. But when there is no spark, no, I don't know what to call it, because it's a God consciousness. It's like a conscience almost. When it doesn't exist, it absolutely dissolves. So if that darkness goes darker and darker, denser and denser, deeper and deeper, until there's nothing left, it dissolves and becomes part of the infinite all again. And the beauty of this is, we as souls, that is our mission, to keep evolving until we become so high in our light process that we dissolve and become part of the infinite all again. So that's why the soul is driving us. It never stops, this drive to become more, to become part of the infinite. And that is my belief, my story. Everybody has a different story, different truth, but I will never say anything that I don't believe in. Right. And all of this wisdom has come from my council of 12, and then eventually my council of 24 elders. So I'll just go back to completing this beautiful story of the 12. When I was apprenticing with them, they were the voice. I allowed my body to be the vessel, the pure vessel, for them to express the wisdom. And they were my teachers. When I was coming to the end of that 10 years, there was guidance to move to Italy. And so I went to Italy 2 years in a row. I thought that I could leave my children. It was like, oh, no, can't do it. And so I asked the divine, can you move me somewhere else where I have value, but it's not too far away from my children who were still in high school and college and university. And so I was guided to come up north of Vancouver to the Okanagan Valley, to the outskirts of the city of Kelowna, on this beautiful, beautiful 40-acre land space. I had no idea what I was going to do, no idea what my work was, but once again, I followed the direction of my council and arrived at this 6,300 square foot old farmhouse built in 1981. And so I had it gutted, renovated.
In 1891 or 1981?
81.
Okay. Of 1981.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the farmhouse was built in 1981, and okay. I moved up there. I bought it in 2008, okay. Moved up there in 2010, and opened in 2011 as a yoga retreat. Wow. So I was taking everything that I had learned and collected while in Vancouver. And while I was in Vancouver, I bought another healing center, opened another healing center in Vancouver. So I was a little bit crazy, obsessive, learned a very hard lesson, burnout. I literally burned myself out after coming back from a volunteer month in India. And I had to go to Mexico for 3 months, where I rested. I slept for 2 months and rejuvenated. In the third month, I wrote a book that was channeled, never published. And after that, I was ready to go back into the mainstream world, but more balanced. So the work in Kelowna was all wrapped in one spot, and groups would come in. I prefer groups of 12, or I did prefer groups of 12. It was easier so that no one got left out. I find that if there's too many, people become invisible. And so, people would come for the weekend, or a facilitator would come and use the space and I would support. But on the other side of this, the back 17 acres was all land, mountain. There was a sacred forest, a fairy forest. I built a labyrinth, and we would walk that labyrinth, create the intent to go through the sacred forest, out into the fairy forest, and have some beautiful, innocent, playful exchange. And so I like laughter. I think humor is so, so important. And I have a very weird sense of humor. It's kind of goofy. And so this went on for quite a number of years, basically until my mother died in 2016. And I felt that shift. But I'm going to go to 2014 because that was the end of my channeling for my Council of 12. I lived in Calgary for 13 years, and so I've got lots of friends and family back there. And I went to Calgary in 2014, and the mountains are magical, like pure magic. My Lord Archangel Michael and the other archangels are so, so present. And as I was driving through that area of Canmore and Banff in the mountains, my body literally physically started to leak. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? Okay, something is going on. And I channel for myself in my car. I find it's easiest to channel for me when I'm driving my car. I know that sounds very dangerous, but it really is a Zen moment where I'm like, I've got all these things going on at the same time. And so I was able to channel for myself that this was a graduation, it was a gift. And so I was being gifted a graduation into a council of 24 elders. The 12 are part of that, but it is an expansion into the outer worlds within what I call the universes of the infinite all. Wow. And there are these beautiful 9 universes, because 9 is the infinite number. So these beautiful 9 infinite universes, and the Council of 12 and the other 12 all come from these outer worlds. And I was no longer allowed to let the Council of 12 use my body and speak for me. And it really had become my walking cane, my hiking stick, because I loved it so much. And so the divine said, no, you are the vessel now. You are the voice. You are going to speak the wisdom of the Council of 24 elders, because I am part of the 24 elders. And I was like, oh my God, for 2 years, I felt like I had shed a skin. I was wearing a new coat. I felt awkward. And so I was very fortunate that the yoga retreat allowed me to explore this with the other healers and yoga masters. And the work we did was global, universal. It just got better and better. We had 14 drums, flutes, sound therapy. It was very, very magical. I use a lot of sound in the healing work that I do. And it is important that we use our sound, even if it's in the shower. So after a couple of years, moving from 2014 to 2016, my mother spiraled into a series of strokes. And I could tell, all right, I'm in another shift. I'm in another adventure, but it wasn't moving as easily as I anticipated. It took 3 years for the farm retreat to sell. COVID happened. Through all of this, there was a lot of external anxiety. There was a tremendous amount of light workers who didn't know what was going on. So my work escalated more to one-on-one, which I had always done, but more so. And I was working with people around the world, which was and is wonderful, like yourself. And I find that I take people to a place where they don't need me anymore. I am very loyal, and I will stay with that person until they're ready to graduate and they no longer need me, and we remain friends forever. But in that pocket between 2014 and 2019 was 2015. And this was a monumental experience for the planet and the universe, this solar system, because I had a couple of people come in brand new, and they were there for the satsang gathering and the healing work, etc. And one day I said to one of the women, I said, do you realize that you're channeling the 9, the active intelligence, creator, architects of all that is? And she said, no. And I said, well, you're here so that I can guide you through the councils so that we can work together and remove the 5 remaining dark lords that had controlled and manipulated the planet for the last 300,000 years. And they controlled through the different currencies of wind, water, air, wood, earth, trees. And I have this beautiful ability to pick up a rock, and the rock will tell me what it wants. And to have a conversation with an animal or a tree. And so we work together. One woman still works with me. She's very alien. I love her to pieces. And this woman who I will call Katera worked with me for 8 months, really a gestation period. And we removed 1 dark lord at a time with the support and guidance of the Council of 12, the Council of 24 Elders, the 9, her spiritual guides and guardians. She received the information of how to call them in. It always looked like a glass bell dome. And so each dark lord had an entourage, so there wouldn't be hundreds, there would be thousands or millions. And I'm a seer, so I can see it all come in. And then we were instructed to create a platform, a base under the glass bell so that they couldn't escape, because they're dark, sneaky, powerful, and the last word I want to say is that they are gone.
Good.
And so we no longer have dark lords manipulating and controlling the human races. We can move forward without the fear of dying. We can move forward now without any fear. And if there's fear, it's just ghost memory. So that was monumental, but I was in the closet and told to stay in the closet until recently.
About the Dark Lords, you mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay. Why was
yes,
that?
well, all my life I felt an intense, um, what's the word? Objective to kill me. And I had an experience, a serious car accident when I was 25. There have been other incidences. Years ago, I would be driving and I would feel an urge to go over the cliff. I just knew that they were playing with me, playing with my mind. There were many incidences where I could have opted out of this life. And basically what I say to them all now is F you, no way, I'm here to stay, and I command and demand that all of that darkness go home, which is what we're doing right now. And I don't want to put fear in anybody's mind because the Dark Lords are basically behind a cement wall. They're not allowed any influence whatsoever within this solar system, none at all. But what they left was this programming in the minds of people that were infused with entities. And these entities were able to create a negative mindset. And when we have a collective mindset, it creates a very dark cloud. And that creates our creation. It creates the political arena, economic arena, the sociopathic arena. And so we have to right now recognize that that does not exist unless we want it to. And so we can say no to the negative mind. We can wash it away. There are many tools we can use. We can stop believing in the network of media and start asking for independent truth, not charlatan truths, not broadcasting untruths, but the truths that are coming from the divine. And we will find that very, very soon there will be a plethora of light workers coming out of their light chambers to support this reunion, because it has been so difficult. 2016, 17, 18 were years of exposure. It continued into 2019. Then we were hit hard and heavy with COVID-19. And that just blew everybody sideways. But there's always two sides of the coin. I always look at the positive. And the beauty of all that is that we went internal and we reflected on what works and what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then get rid of it. And I think that's very important right now. If it's not working for you, get it out of the house. It's holding old energy. If your job's not working, stay in it and go find another one. If your relationship's not working, either fix it through therapies or remove it. Because it's time for us to live in our soul and allow the soul, I call it, let the soul drive the car. We're all driving cars.
Well, what would you say to, I'm sure there's some people right now going, oh my God, it's a shitstorm out there. Now, prices are going through the roof. Some food shelves are empty. There's war going on the other side of the world. It seems to be getting worse than better to play, the flip side of that.
So think of the goddess Kali, the goddess of chaos before order. And we've had waves and waves and waves. Remember, we're a planet of waves. And we have to have these soft waves so that we don't move into a healing crisis. We get a little and then we get a rest. We get a little and then we get a rest. And so we're at the end of this influence of the Dark Lords. And if we look at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, that's 6 years of bull crap that we've been fed And now we're fighting. We want truth. We want order. We want light. And we have to trust that the divine and the galactic federations who are all watching us are here to support and help us. We can do that with the simplicity of going for a walk in the woods, right? We can do it with the simplicity of the
Ho'oponopono.
Okay. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Ho'oponopono. There's my humor. And when we say a prayer, it becomes a form of energy that goes out and it completes the puzzles of light. We've got too many holes in the puzzle block right now. And so this is going to shift about the 14th, 15th, and 16th. All those holes will be filled.
Oh, of this month.
This month.
Wow.
We're going to feel a little awkward because we're coming out of our old skin, moving into a new skin. And so if we can be patient with ourselves for the last 2 weeks of March, we'll go into April, April Fool's Day, ha ha ha. We are the light workers. We have won this war. We are moving this planet into a daily experience of fifth dimension, which means peace and harmony. No more passive aggressive, no more aggressive, just daily living in the heart and letting go of the fear. That is the key right now, to trust that, yes, we have, okay, this is what I love. This is what I love. Because I ask the questions, you know, we have been given moments of choice. Are we, because everybody was invited here and everybody is very, very, very evolved. There isn't a human here that's not evolved, but we had to make a choice. Can we move into this higher frequency and stay in it? Or do we want and choose to stay in the slower frequency that I call third dimension? Because if we choose that, there's no climbing the ladder. There's no getting into the fifth dimension. But okay, I have a girlfriend. And so when I was told this, I thought, okay, I'm going to channel my friends and family. Who has chosen what? I always ask for permission. They all gave me permission, bless their hearts and souls. But one girlfriend chose to stay in the third dimension, and I was confused. But she is one of my greatest teachers. There she is, right? Creating some emotion for me.
Aww.
And she decided to stay in that third dimension and sacrifice her peace and harmony for those that needed her.
Wow.
In that third dimension. And she is doing that work. And so we don't know all the mysteries. We're not meant to know it all at one time. It will come when we're ready. So what I love is that the divine provided me with 2 earths. I could see 2 earths. I can still see it. The one we live in, and then the other one is the twin earth, where all of these beautiful third dimensional souls will eventually incarnate to as a gift. And when they arrive, they will move through it so quickly, it's like a blink of an eye.
Wow.
It's beautiful. So there's no sadness for me with the departure of these third dimensionals, because they have chosen to leave the planet very quickly.
Now, how's that going to look? How does that play out?
It's already happening. You can see the elders, my parents' generation leaving, and they're leaving fast and furious. Those that are baby boomer generation are usually in some form of creation of dis-ease, and that will carry them out, or an accident which will carry them out, or mental disorder, which will carry them out. When it comes to the generation of what I call the Generation X, it's a whole different story. And so I'm not going to go there because it's a little bit complex. And then we have the millennials. The millennials right now are birthing these new babies. These new babies are, to me, once again, known as the rainbow crystalline children of the future. They're the golden age. They started to come in about 1997, 98, 99. The initial incoming were more like indigo children, where they had to kind of fight for who they are. They're very feisty, strong-willed, powerful. Get out of my way. And then the next wave, and then the next wave have a collective mission. Each wave of these new babies has a collective mission. And when I look in their eyes, they're pure. They're just pure God. And they're funny. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter, and when she was 2.5, she would say, Nana, do you want to come to my purple house? Come to my purple house. And so I started to travel to her purple house, and then started to healing light from my heart to other people, and it's all purple. So magical. So the rainbow children will teach the millennials how to connect heart and God mind, heart, soul, and God mind. So it becomes one expression of being rather than this separate expression of being. So the removal isn't a removal of the old, it's a graduation. It's a delightful graduation, and to bless them for going, to honor them for going, to have ceremony for those who are going. A lot of them have entities, and I know this personally through my family, through a family member, hundreds of entities, and these entities are holding the darkness. And so the darkness will go as that person leaves the planet. Oh my God. When I heard that, I went, oh, thank you, because it's so hard for us individual and group healers to continually work on moving the lost souls home, moving the militaristic lost souls home, moving the indigenous lost souls home, which I have done over and over and over with group healers, but it's overwhelming. And so when I heard that the third dimensional humans will carry them out, I thought, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So what do you see, what vision do you have for the next, like, let's look at 2023 and up to 2025. What do you see transpiring during that time?
It's, if I was to ask that question 5-10 years ago, it would be similar but different, because we're only given what we can understand. And right now there's so much coming in because we hold the God mind within our 12-strand DNA. So light workers, please believe that you are being activated, or that you hold fully a 12-strand DNA once again, therefore allowing all of these senses to be used prolifically. Just practice. And this coming year, 2022, is a year for awakening, for not taking your power back, because we already have, but living with the power, allowing the power to be expressed, and sharing the power. Maybe the power is as teacher or healer or leader or communicator, or perhaps that power is peacekeeper, where you hold space for the world and others. But it's to live it daily, to practice it daily. so that in 2023, we become stronger. We become a collective, light, stronger. There's portals all over the world, white holes, portals all over the world that are being transformed as we send our love and light out into this consciousness. We don't even have to say where it's to go. It'll go wherever it's supposed to go. So 2023 is a continuation of living in the power, being the power, sharing the power, expressing the power, and letting go of the old mind. Recognizing the old mind is a ghost mind. That's all it is, old memory. In 2024, that's when things will shift. The Earth Mother has communicated to myself and other light workers that she will begin to create a plan whereby parts of the earth will go under. Everything will begin to geographically move a little bit more, so that by the time we reach 2027, we know what we have to do to support this planet and to lessen the severity of the geographical changes that will occur in 2028. We need to do our work together so that we can maintain this neutrality. I like the word neutrality. It's the center point of the teeter-totter. Let's not be in the extreme anymore. Let's find our center point. So the work for the Earth Mother is lessened because she will have to clean up what we don't clean up.
Well, it sounds like natural disaster is going to be taking place. And is that going to be more people exiting, I would assume?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's not going to be over anytime soon. We got some more stuff to work through.
We do. We have more work, but we have more support. The galactics want to be seen. They're coming in. They used to be orbs, and then they became plasmic beings. I know children that can see them, and I am like in awe of that. I actually walked in my back field at the retreat when this little girl said, "There's 2 spaceships out in the back." And we all went, "Let's go." And I could see them in the third eye. I could feel them. I put my arms out. 2 of these beings just walked me around. I just let them take me wherever they wanted me to go. And then they plunked me under their smaller starship, which looked like the underbelly of a mushroom. And then all of a sudden, they were gone. Oh. So again, a mystery.
But yet it's not, because when we go back to source, then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember you."
Exactly. We're waking up. So I believe that there is less of the awakening where it's, a lightning bolt, and it's gradual, because gradual is easier, softer. When I hear people fast tracking their Kundalini, I think, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Are you crazy?" There is a program that there's a step-by-step process that we all need to go through. And one baby step at a time gives us time to breathe, to relax, to process, and to move forward without fear. Yeah. Wow. So I am delighted to share this with you and everybody else, because I'm out of the closet.
And I'm glad you are.
Yeah, me too.
Well, this is probably a good stopping point. I would love to have you on again soon, because you are just a plethora of so much information that I think could help so many people. And I appreciate you, Joy. I appreciate you so much.
am so grateful. Thank you, Allison. Blessings.
All right. You can
Namaste
stay
to
on
everyone.
after we say goodbye. You can stay on and we'll chat a bit. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.